Ear, what up? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world. We are back in effect. Yes, we are. The draft has concluded. We have all the picks in. We have some winners. We got some losers. Uh, we got some people with their faces scrunched up off the strength that off the strength of what happened with the Lakers. And I'm going to explain. I don't hate it. Um, I actually think from a business standpoint, I think it makes a boatload of sense. Um, there are some people who don't, and that's why they aren't very good in business. So the draft concluded last night. I watched the draft, and I wasn't overly impressed with it. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't overly impressed, but I wasn't like, yo, this is one of the best drafts ever. I do think that there were some gems in the draft. I do believe that. I just don't think we're going to find out for a couple of more years about about who these gems were. I think it's going to be a work in progress with a lot of these guys. I feel like this is when you find out. Right? I feel like this is when you find out GMing at its finest. Who are the best GMs? You find out not only who the best GMs are, you find out who the worst ones are too. And with finding out you find out who the best GMs are, you find out who the worst ones are, and who knows what their job is and who doesn't. And Charlotte, for example, right? Charlotte, for example, with them with drafting the kid, with drafting the kid Saloon. I mean, he looks to me like a drafting stash. That's what he looks like to me. He looks like a drafting stash. Um, I don't know if I hate it, but because it's not like Charlotte is trying to do something. It's not like Charlotte is trying to do something right now. I think they're gonna get Bridges back. LaMelo has to be healthy. Mark Williams is gonna be back. Um, so with that being said, I think this kid and Brandon Miller is a gem. So with that being said, they're a young team trying to build something, right? They're a young team trying to build something. Bet I get it, but this kid is a drafting stash, sure. Uh, I think Dalton Connect. I think he fell in the lap of the Lakers, but I'm going to get to the Lakers in a little bit. I think Memphis bagging Zach Edey. I think that's a good thing. I think he's going to speed them up. I think he's going to make them a faster team as the rim protector that he is, and the rebounder that he is. And I don't think you guys give Zach Edey as much credit for being as mobile as he is, for as big as he is. At 7'3", I don't think you give him nearly as much credit for his mobility. I liked what I saw with him. I did. I liked what I saw with him, and the fact that I like what I saw with him, I think he's going to help Memphis 100%. They get their whole crew back next year. Ja comes back. Desmond Bane comes back. Marcus Smart comes back. Jaren Jackson comes back. They get Gigi back. They get Brandon Clark back. Sure they lost Steven Adams to Houston, but that's where Zach Edey comes in. So because of that, that helps them out tremendously. Portland, on the other hand, like a lot of people love the Portland pick. Portland has a bit of a dilemma. You got 3 5-men, 3 of them. Okay, you got a Rook and Klingon, who I like him in the pick and pop. I like him in the pick and dive. I think he's one of the better defensive centers. You got Robbie Williams, who I think is made of glass. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be around. To be honest with you, I don't know it. And they got him on the cheap. So I think he's made of glass. And then you got DeAndre Ayton, who I'm big on DeAndre Ayton, but there's a commitment issue with him. There's a huge commitment issue with him. So clinging is the insurance, because the minute that's 17 and 11, and we talk about DeAndre Ayton like he's whack. Let's be clear about one thing: he is not whack. Let's dead that logic right now. He's not whack. He only played 55 games last year. That puts him, unfortunately, that doesn't put him to be able to be eligible for any of the postseason awards. He was in the top 10 last year in rebounding. 100% he was. He was in the top 10 in the league last year in rebounding. He's just there's a commitment issue there with him. Not only is there a commitment issue there with him, his brand of basketball, the way he plays, because there's a commitment issue with him, it hampers units. Because he's one of those guys that if you get him involved early, that motor goes up. But if you don't get him involved, you're not going to get that glass cleaner that he is. You're not going to get the rim protector that he is. No, you're not going to get that. You're going to get a slow motion, selfish guy that's not committed. That's what you're going to get with him. So I think that's the difference with him. This kid Castle, the thing I like about Castle, the thing I like about Castle more than anything, right? The thing I like about Castle more than anything is the same thing I loved about Scoot Henderson last year coming out of the draft. I'm a big fan of guys who compete. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm what up, Brooklyn? How you doing, brother? What you don't have in skill set, what you don't have in physical stature, what you do, you make that up with playing hard and competing. I love the fact that Castle is going to compete. When he gets in front of you, it's not going to be a walk in the park. No, what up, Jamal? How you doing, brother? It's not going to be a walk in the park. He is not one of these guys that you're just going to be able to walk up and down the floor on him. No. You're going to get a guy who is going to compete. You're going to get that. Now, I don't hate the pick. I actually like the pick. I would have gone with Dillingham, and the reason why I would have gone with Dillingham, because I like Dillingham more as a playmaker and a distributor. He's small, but so is Darius Garland. So is Chris Paul, right? Just because you're not 6'8", I don't. That doesn't mean that you can't still be. That doesn't mean you can't still be awesome. So, with that being said, Dillingham, I probably would have went with him because I feel like Wemby needs to run with somebody who can get that. That was the biggest problem that they had last year. Yep. That was the biggest problem that they had last year. The fact that they got Dillingham and then you ended up moving off of him to Minnesota, I would have stuck with him. 100% I would have stuck with him. Because I feel like Wemby, one of the biggest problems that they had last year was he didn't have anybody that can consistently get him the basketball in spaces where he needed the ball. And that hampered him. One thing I know about big guys, I'd like to think that I know a little bit about big guys. But one thing I know for a fact about a big guy, when you involve the big guy in the game, all that other stuff that's necessary, he does that. He 100% does that. So when you put Wemby in a space where you involve him in the offense, where he's getting the ball around the rim, he's getting the ball in the mid post, even if he's missing, you're involving him. He's going to be a better rim protector. He's going to rebound more. He's going to run the floor more. And I feel like a guy like Dillingham would have got him more involved. I feel like that offense needs to change because I feel like in San Antonio, they didn't really know what they were doing with him. And the reason why they didn't know what they was doing with him is off the strength that you have a guy in Wemby that's Hasn't been seen in 40 years. If anybody knows me, you know that I think Wemby, I've seen Wemby before. That's Ralph Sampson, except a better handle and a jump shot. That's what I see when I see Wemby. That's Ralph Sampson with a better handle and a jump shot. And that was 40 years ago when the big man ruled. Now we in a space where the big man plays on the perimeter, and I don't know. I'm not sure what Pop knows what to do with him just yet. And I don't want to waste any time with this kid neither, even though he's 20 years old and we do have some time, barring any injuries, knock on wood. But I don't want to waste any time. I don't want to waste any years with this kid. I don't want to do that. So I want to get, I want to get legit. I want to get legit distributors around him. I want to get a legit playmaker around him. I don't want to just have him having to do that stuff himself. No, because that's going to be more wear and tear on him. I don't want to do that. So, with that being said, I like the Castle pick. I like the Zach Edey pick. Cody Williams. I was sleeping on Cody Williams, but now that I look at what they're doing in Utah, even though I don't know what they're doing in Utah, it looks like they're trying, like they have some sort of, like with him, Keontae, with Cody Williams and Keontae, they look like they're trying to move in a specific direction. You know, you got none. Like I still don't know what they're doing with Walker Kessler, because on the one hand, he looks like he could be one of the better defensive bigs in the game, but then there's games where he doesn't hardly play, where he hardly plays. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, what are we doing with this guy? Is it because he doesn't get it? And if that's true, then who's teaching him? Because I felt the same way about Kuminga. Because Kuminga came in with the Warriors on an accelerated on an accelerated time span. He didn't get on. He didn't get on the Warriors crew that was garbage. He didn't get on the Warriors crew that was Washington or Charlotte. No, he got on the Warriors crew. They get Clay back. They get Steph back. They get Draymond back. Right. So now he's accelerated. He's got to learn now. Is that what's going on? That's not what's going on with Walker Kessler. So why isn't he playing more? And what? Not only why isn't he playing more? What's the plan with him? What do you guys plan on doing with him? Excuse me. That's the $1 million question that I have with Walker Kessler. But I like Cody. I like this kid Cody Williams with Keontae. It looks like you have a not necessarily not just a centerpiece, but it looks like you have building blocks. So you are going. You're doing something. You are going in a direction where, okay, we're trying to build something. All right, I can get with that. I 100% can get with that. Now, the mystery of the draft is this kid Nikola Topic. Now, from what I heard, this guy may be the best player in the draft. He tore up his knee, and he wasn't able to. He wasn't able. I think he tore his knee up in April, so he's very much going to be a draft and stash. Because what are we in? Almost July, May, June, July. So 3 months. So he's not going to be ready by the time the season, even though season opens up July, August, September, 3 months. That'll be 6 months out. I don't think Oklahoma City is going to risk putting him on the floor. I saw Kawhi Leonard partially tear his knee up in the playoffs. He sat the whole 2021-22 season. He sat the whole season. So I think this kid's going to miss the season. I think they're going to stash him. It'll basically be like what happened with Blake Griffin, what happened with Ben Simmons, what happened with Joel Embiid. So him being as good as he is, can Oklahoma City afford Can Oklahoma City afford to sit him? I think they can. Because we're trading for Alex Caruso. We're trading for Alex Caruso. And on top of trading for Alex Caruso, you got free agent money and you can actually shore up your actual need, which is your front court. That's going to be the big key this offseason. So I think that they can. I think that they can sit him. I do think that, right? I do think that they can sit him, and they'll be just fine. I think they'll be just fine. Sack taking Devin Carter, and then moving off of Davion Mitchell. Man, I think Davion Mitchell should be running the crew, if I'm being honest. And the fact that he just got traded to Toronto, I think he's their starting point guard. So that tells me with them moving off of Davion Mitchell, one, he should be running the crew. And what we're not going to do is we're not going to hold on to him and Devin Carter. It's not just that they think it's not just that they think more highly of Devin Carter, because they did the same thing with Tyrese and De'Aaron Fox. They did the same thing with them. It's not that I don't think that they thought less of Tyrese. I don't know if less is the word I'm looking for. I think they'd rather move on. They rather move on with De'Aaron because he was already there, and in the process of him already being there, it fit better. But with Davion Mitchell and Devin Carter, well, Davion Mitchell's already there. I think they get Devin Carter for insurance. We can move off of Davion Mitchell and get a two back. Keep Devin Carter because De'Aaron Fox has made it clear that he's not signing an extension. He wants to see what you guys are doing. So if Davion Mitchell decides after next season he wants out, this kid Devin Carter, for all intents and purposes, with a 6'9" wingspan, sounds to me like he's the real deal. One of the better defenders in the Big East. So that I feel like that's your insurance. I feel like that's your insurance policy. And you get a chance to take, and you get a chance, Davion Mitchell gets a chance to run his own crew, which I think that's ultimately who he is. I think Davion Mitchell is a starter, and he should be running his own crew. So I don't hate that trade. Carter comes from NBA pedigree. His father played in the NBA for, I think, 8-9 years. He works for the Miami Heat, which I wonder. I'm going to ask you guys this because it's kind of a tricky situation to be in. Okay, so his father works for the Miami Heat. And actually, you know what? We'll talk about the nepotism issue later. Let's stick with what's going on right now, right? Let's stick with what's going on right now. The kid Mateus that the Bulls took. The thing I like about him more than anything, I love his confidence. We all talk about the number 1 overall pick in the draft in Rishishir, and Mateus is making it clear I'm better than him. He said that. He don't want to see me. I respect him, but he don't want to see me. What up, Wick? How you doing, brother? I respect his game, but he don't want to see me. What that tells me is y'all should have took me instead of him. I'm the one you should have went with, not him. What up, Will? How you doing, brother? I'm the one you should have gone with, not him. Because I'm better than him. And this could be, for all intents and purposes, the Wemby Chet logic. Because I think the league is going to be full of Wembys and Chets in the next 10 to 15 years. I think that's what the league is going to look like. And this could be something like that. I mean, I saw Apollo and the kid from Atlanta. They kind of got into it in the summer. That didn't really turn into much. But these two rooks Rishashia being the number one pick in the draft, and with him being the number one pick in the draft, Mateus being a top 10 pick, they both in the Eastern Conference. This could turn into something. I like his ability to get downhill as a big guy. I think he's 6'9", 6'10". His ability to get downhill. He's one of the better finishers in the game. I love that about him. Love that about him. And I love his confidence, because that's what this is about. That's what this is about more than anything. If I'm looking at a ball player, 9 times out of 10, this is where it is. And I always bring up the example of Jimmy Butler. And the reason why I bring up the example of Jimmy Butler is because Jimmy Butler doesn't blow you away with any of his skill set. He ain't super nice with the pill. He ain't skipping through the lane, punching it on guys. He's not blowing your doors off, throwing the ball between his legs 2 and 3 times. He's not ridiculously athletic. He's not any of that. However, when Bucket steps on the floor, he looking around. It's not one of you dudes out here nicer than me. Not one of you dudes out here is nicer than me. It ain't one of you dudes out here that's better than me. And the reason why he like that, 1, is up here. 2, Buckets plays within himself. He's not going to let you make him do anything that he doesn't know how to do. I'm the best at what I do. I can't get involved in an up and down with Jalen Green. I can't do that. I can't get into a one-on-one long ball shooting contest with Jason Tatum. That ain't my game. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm the best at what I do. That's why I feel like this kid, Mateus, I like the fact that mentally he trusts his game. I really dig that about him. I don't dig that. I can't say that about a lot of guys. I'd be lying if I said that about a number of different guys, but I can't say that about a lot of guys. The Lakers, they get their man, but before I go to them, I think is it Kel'el? Is Kel'el Ware? I like what Miami did with Kel'el Ware. I think he's going to help them because they need another big guy. And you guys have heard me, right? You guys who have heard me know how I feel about Bam playing the 5. I think Bam's a 4. I've always felt like Bam is a 4, but the fact that in that Miami system, he plays the 5. This big guy, you can move Bam to the 4, and you can still run that offense through Bam the way that they do. A lot of dribble handoffs, a lot of action with him, a lot of dribble handoffs, a lot of pick and pop, a lot of pick and dive with Bam. And I feel like in the stretch that you're in now, that's why I'm good moving off of buckets. And the reason why I'm good moving off of buckets, because I feel like at this time, during this time, I feel like these are peak Bam years. I'm probably good. Bam's 26 years old, right? Bam is 26 years old. I probably can get another 4 years. I probably can get another 5-6 years of prime Bam. Peak Bam, on the other hand, this 21-11, 22-10 Bam, I probably can get another 3, maybe 4 years of that. So because I can get that, I want to maximize that. That's why I'm good. That's why I'm good moving off of buckets. I'm straight moving off buckets. So with that being said, I think this big guy could really help Bam's development. Not Bam's development, Bam's progression. And you got your small forward in Jaime Jaquez. So you straight there. And since we're on the subject of small forwards, who's an adult, who Jaime Jaquez is coming into the league, Dalton Connect fell into the Lakers' lap. He was their guy. And what they weren't going to do is they weren't going to make the mistake that they made last year when they passed on Jaime Jaquez, who was right up the block, by the way. Literally at UCLA, a grown-up, right? A grown-up who would have fit perfect in your system. But instead, he now moves to Miami, fits perfect in their system. So what we're not going to do is we ain't going to make that mistake again, right? We're not going to make that mistake again. So what we do is we get our man in Dalton Connect, who I thought was the best player in the SEC. The best player in the SEC. And with him being the best player in the SEC, the shooter that he is, the bucket getter that he is, that helps the Lakers. Everybody looks at the Lakers like they were garbage. No, they just ran into a buzzsaw in Denver. That's a bad matchup for them. If they got to see Oklahoma City in round one, I think Oklahoma City is out. If they had to see Oklahoma City this year in this season that just passed, if they had to see Oklahoma City in round one, I think Oklahoma City is out. OUT out. I don't think that Oklahoma City beats them. I don't. If they had to see the Clippers are out. If they had to see Dallas, I think Dallas is out. It's that Denver matchup. That Denver matchup. And I was on live. I forgot who I was on here with. And we were talking about how teams duck smoke. Teams duck smoke all the time. Teams duck smoke all the time. This would have been a perfect time for the Lakers to duck that smoke. I think this would have been a perfect time for the Lakers to avoid Denver and duck that smoke. 100% I do. Because I think that of the teams that they had to see, Denver's the only team that I hate that matchup for them. And so what, the Lakers with a 7 seed. The Miami Heat with a 7 seed. Oh, I'm sorry, the 8 seed the year before, and they was in the NBA Finals. So, what's your point? But anyway, they got their man in Dalton Connect. I think he's going to help them immediately. He's a grown-up. He could score. He could score with the best of them. And I think he fits as a long ball shooter, not just as a long ball shooter, but as a scorer. I think he fits with them. Now, I know you guys don't like the Bronny James pick. And for you guys who don't like the Bronny James pick, and I'm going to talk more about nepotism here. For you guys who don't like the Bronny James pick, by show of hands, and I'm going to ask you this. This is from a management standpoint. By show of hands, how many of you, as an organization, you get the guy who you want at 17, he falls in your lap, and then at number 55, you draft that guy, and what that ensures is that you get James for 3 more years. By show of hands, who isn't doing that? I'm listening. And I'm going to be quiet for a second. But by show of hands, who's not doing that? Now tell me by show of hands, who is doing that? Because I can tell you who I can tell you I'm doing it. I'm 100% doing it. The 17 pick was my pick. And that's the guy I wanted. That's the guy I got. That's the guy I wanted. That's the guy I got. And the 55 pick ensures that I get to keep James for 3 more years. Who's not doing that? By show of hands, who's not doing that? Because I can tell you who is doing it. I'm doing it. I will 100% do it. 100% I'm doing it. Because I'm asking you guys, of all of you guys in here, who was the number 55 pick 2 years ago? Not only who was the number 55 pick 2 years ago, do you care? Do you care? Because I know I don't. You guys talk to me a lot about nepotism. This country was built on relationships. How many times have you guys said to me, and how many times have I heard throughout the course of life, it ain't what you know, it's what? Help me out. It's not what you know, it's what? So I'm clear. It's not what you know, it's what? So with that being said, right? So with that being said, How many players, right? How many players, how many organizations operate on nepotism? You guys are complaining about Bronny James. Last I checked, Jeannie Buss did not buy the Lakers. If I'm not mistaken, are the Lakers not the family business? When her father passed away, who did he leave in charge? Her. She inherited the family business. Nobody has a problem with that. Last I checked, Giannis Antetokounmpo is in Milwaukee. You know who else is in Milwaukee? His brother is with him. If you have a brother who plays basketball and he's pretty awesome, if I got a brother, okay, I'm awesome. I want to put this out there. I play basketball. I'm fantastic. I got a brother who can play. Wouldn't I be foul if I didn't get my brother put on? Would I not be legit as a brother if I didn't get my brother put on? Do you think that France down in Orlando, you think he had anything to do with his brother getting put on? I'd like to think he did. I'd like to think that they came to him and was like, yo, how you feel about your brother getting on the crew? Or he may have very well went to them like, yo, my brother gonna be around. Nepotism is not just in with players. Now, I can appreciate your logic about the idea of it's never been with the players. Yeah, it has. 100% it has. The Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA championship. Giannis had his brother put on, even though his brother didn't have nothing to do with them winning the championship. But the fact that he was there puts Giannis there. If he ain't there, Giannis ain't there. I got to put my family on. And I can't argue that, yo. And I will not argue that. Hell no. And I'm going to, and I can't reiterate this to you guys enough. If you're in a position, because I've always felt like this. If you're in a position to get your family on and you're not doing it, what's the problem with what's the problem? Especially if you're cool with your family. If you're in a position not to get your family on, why aren't you? Why are you not doing that? Why are you not doing that? Is there any legit reason why you're not doing that? I think Milwaukee of the draft, I think Milwaukee dropped the ball. I think Milwaukee dropped the ball, passing on dunk. I stand on that. I think he's the best wing defender in the draft. 6'6", 6'7", long, rangy, hands stay busy, physical. I can appreciate your issues about his offense, but there have been plenty of guys who've come into the league and offensively, they weren't that good. We could fix that. Leonard was not, when Leonard showed up in the NBA, he was not that good offensively. The bucket getter you see Leonard today or in 2016, he was not that when he showed up in 2011. He wasn't. Leonard was a defender. 6'5", 6'6", defender. That's who he was. He turned into a bucket getter. And the fact that Milwaukee passed on that kid, I think they made a mistake. And the idea that Doc Rivers, he doesn't play young guys. And he played Maxey. He played Rondo. He played Tony Allen. In fact, he handpicked Tony Allen. Right? He handpicked Tony Allen. And I'm not chilling on Kawhi Leonard because Kawhi Leonard is not an anomaly. There are plenty of guys who came into the league who weren't considered scorers. And when they came into the league, they became better scorers. Eddie Jones is a prime example. When Eddie Jones came out of college from Temple, Eddie Jones wasn't a bucket getter. Eddie Jones was not a bucket getter. He shows up in the NBA, and all of a sudden, this dude is a freak athlete, great in transition, making the all-star team. Aaron McKee was the guy on that crew. There have been guys who showed up into the NBA who were not that when they first got there. Plenty. So Let's chill out on that. I'm not doing that. I will not. So, with that being said, as I was saying, the Milwaukee Bucks, I think they screwed up passing on this kid Dunn. I think he's the best wing defender in the draft. And the fact that they passed on him for this 18-year-old kid who they're probably going to draft and stash him. So that tells me that your wing defender, he has to be in free agency. He has to be. Because what you can't do in Milwaukee, you can't run it back. You can't. If you're talking about running it back, you're going to be in the same space. And I'm not on the fence when I say I think Giannis turns 30 years old this December. This December. I think he turns 30. And with 30 or 29 or 30, I think Giannis turns. I don't like, and you guys can straighten me out, right? You guys can straighten me out. I don't like non-contact injuries, man, especially with the calf. That kind of stuff worries me. I don't like that. Does that mean I'm seeing the beginning? Are we getting close to the beginning of the end of Giannis? I don't like that stuff. I don't like that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff worries me when I see non-contact injuries, especially at this age. He'll be 30 years old in December. I don't think Giannis. I'd like to think that I still have some more elite years out of Giannis, because again, we're talking about an elite player. He's only 29 years old. So I'd like to think, with a guy whose game is predicated on athleticism and flight, I think that I could get another 4 or 5 years out of him. I'd like to think that I could get that. I just worry when I see non-contact injuries. That kind of stuff worries me. It worries me big time. I'm not saying that it worries me. It worries me big time, because the clock is always ticking on guys when we getting close to like 30 years old. I just don't want to speed that up. I do not want to speed that up. And because I don't want to speed that up, real, man, do yourself a favor, real. Get out of my live, yo. Don't make me put you out. Just go. Because you're completely and utterly subjective. I need you to get out of my live, yo. I do. I'm asking you nicely. I need you to leave. Please leave. I'm not asking you. I'm not forcefully. I'm asking you as a gentleman. I need you to leave. Please leave, sir. That's all I'm asking. Please leave. Get out of here. Please. I just get worried about stuff like that. I do. I get worried about stuff like that. You're not a fan of my channel if you're coming in here with this bullshit. You're not. You're not a fan if you're coming in here with this bullshit. You're not. So if you heard anything that I said about what the Lakers did in this draft to say that they're not serious, you have no idea what you're talking about. That's why I'm asking you to leave. I'm asking you to leave, my man, because you want to talk about keeping it hoops. Please leave. That's all I'm asking, my man. Please, just leave. Please just go. That's all I'm asking. Just leave. Just go. What up?
Yo, OG, how are you?
What up, brother?
Hey, I was at the this morning's live talking about topics.
Hey, listen, I talked to some people and they told me that you was reaching.
Nah.
They told me that you was reaching on that Luka comparison.
Nah, I said that he is a better rebounder and a better passer, but he's not the same shooter as Luka.
No, he's not. I'm not gonna argue that. But from what you told me this morning, and I brought that to the fellas, I didn't tell them it was you. I said I got my sources.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, this kid has the upside of an elite player in the NBA. And they compared him to Luka. He compared him to Luka. And they told me that's definitely a stretch.
Nah, he's not Luka. But I told you, comparing him, I'm comparing the when Luka was 18 and when
Right.
Nikola now is 18. I'm comparing the players at 18 years old. But
Okay.
I think already now Nikola is the best passer in the draft class. And I told you he's better than Researcher.
You
He's
did tell
better
me
than
that. You did tell me that. Yes, you did.
yes, and I told you he's better than. I mean, I didn't tell you, but Saloon. How what was his name?
The kid
The
from
first guy.
the kid that Charlotte drafted.
Yeah,
Tajane Shalhoub.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
You think he's
I
better than
told,
him too?
yeah, 100%. Because I told
Mm-hmm.
you, Saloon played Shalhoub, how whatever his name is. He
Mm-hmm.
played in the fourth rank of European basketball. So I don't think that that's competitive enough, for him to go straight into the NBA.
Right.
But I'm not underestimating these players. I hope everyone is the next Dirk, the next LeBron.
Yeah.
But uh, that's my opinion. Yeah.
Sure. I could get with that. I do understand that. So what do you think? Do you think Oklahoma City, because I don't think he plays this season. I think Oklahoma City shelves him. I think he recovers from the knee injury. And I think Oklahoma City shelves him. And then next season he gets in the summer league, and then now they make the transition.
Yes. Yes. 100%. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
told you he partially torn his ACL. He
Right.
didn't compete in the Serbian finals. He was a big part of the team. They miss him. They won the championship without him, but 19 and 10, missing out on that kind of guy with that kind of stats, contribution is huge. I think he
Yeah.
will be great in the NBA, but I don't think OKC is the best spot for him
Mm.
because they have SGA at the one,
Sure.
and I don't think that there's enough room to show himself.
Sure.
Uh, take his spot. You cannot take SGA spot.
No, he's the man. 100% he is. So Patar, so if I'm understanding you correctly, your man Topic, he's more of a primary ball handler. He's more of a distributor. He's more of a guy who plays with the ball in his hands. Well, Oklahoma City already has a guy with the ball in his hands in SGA. That's going to hamper your man Topic. That's going to hamper his game. Topic, I'm sorry. That's going to hamper his game. Is that what I'm understanding?
I mean, yes, his my comparison right now is his Josh Giddey,
Yep.
but with steroids.
Josh Giddey with
With steroids,
so he a better version of Josh Giddey.
better play. He has
So he,
better IQ, better court vision. He's faster. He's more athletic. I see people saying that he's not athletic. He's athletic. He's
Mhm.
finishing around the rim with his both hands, both left and his right.
Yep.
He uh, he's fantastic player on the transition. Fast break basketball.
Mhm.
He thrives on fast break basketball.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't think there's enough room for improvement in
In
OKC.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, but
Would he be would he fit better on a unit where he had the ball in his hands and they ran the offense with him as your primary ball handler? And and what I'm saying is I'm saying a guy where him as a distributor, him as a playmaker, like he was the guy. Like for example, if he was in San Antonio, how much better do you think he would be?
oh, I don't have the words to describe. He's an extraordinary pick and roll player. He can find the big man at any time. Uh, he's a fantastic passer of the ball. He's
Yep.
the best. Uh, I think, well, one of the best players in Europe when it comes to pick and roll.
Yep.
He finds to find the big man,
Mhm.
or uh, you know when how do you say it? When he's fantastic. To when the team double teams him, he
Yep.
knows where to find. He's under pressure. He's fantastic under pressure.
Sure.
So I think uh, what was the shooting coach if in Oklahoma? I think he will uh, work on the shot. He needs to work on his step back three.
Yep.
He needs to work. He's how do I say? His uh, shy. He cannot dunk
Uh,
the ball.
right.
He
Let me ask
cannot.
you this. Let me
Yeah,
ask you this, Tar. If he didn't tear up his knee, right?
yeah.
If his knee was legit, do you think San Antonio passes on him at 4?
No, no. He was he was projected, I think, third. Uh, Greg Popovich was in Serbia,
Yep.
watching him. He sends his scouts here. Um, I think they would have grabbed him, but I think San Antonio wants results now. They
Yeah.
want players who can play now.
Hmm.
Wemby, and that's why they passed on him.
Mm.
Oklahoma has a team already. They finished first seed, so they can afford to wait uh, for next season.
Okay. I could get with that. Well,
Yeah.
Patar, good to talk to you, brother. I appreciate you.
Okay, man.
Yep.
It's 1 a.m.
Good to talk to you, brother. What up?
What up? Still, we did it. We did it, man. We
Hey man,
did it.
Joe, I feel like your boys took some years off your life, man.
Hey,
Because
man.
my
As
my,
long as we
my
did it, man.
my man blood pressure was up. We can't be the Buffalo Bills. We can't. That can't happen to us. I feel like they took some years off your life, yo.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did, man. But like, back to business, man. You know, my Heat, they drafted Khalil Ware, man. Love that pick.
Yep.
You know, I was thinking like it was like a few days before the draft. Like I was listening to some people, they were saying like Devin Carr would be good for the Heat. Like I'm kind of happy that the Kings took him because
Hmm.
like that would have been just the easy way out. Like now we can actually fix the problem with Bam. The only thing I think about with Bam and Ware is like is how we gonna play like pick and roll coverage because like like one of Bam's best defensive abilities is his ability to like quickly decide what to do in like pick and roll coverages.
Right.
After
Are
where
you
he's
talking about
like
on the offensive end or the defensive end?
no, I'm not worried about offense. I'm worried about defense.
Okay.
And the thing is like where he's the best in drop coverage, but like you want to have Bam in the pick and roll. So I'm like wondering like suppose I gonna like put him in on like help side defense. That's what I'm thinking about where.
Why are you
Yeah.
worried about Bam is one of the best pick and roll defenders in the game.
Yeah, I know because like where like one of his best defensive abilities is also like playing drop. So like I
Yeah.
wonder like who's gonna be the primary pick and roll
Well,
ball defender.
it'll stay Bam. So the big guy, first of all, the big guy being new and having to understand the league, I think he's going to be more of a Roma, kind of like
Yeah.
what Anthony Davis should be, right? Kind of like what Anthony Davis should be with the Lakers. He should be more of a Roma. So with that being said, that's kind of what's going on. I feel like that's what's going on with. I feel like that's what's going on with this big guy. I think he's going to be more of a Roma. I think he's going to understand how to play one-on-one defense. He's going to learn that, and he's going to learn that from Bam. He's going to learn how to play drop coverage. He's going to learn how to hedge from Bam. I'm not worried about Bam as a defender in the pick and roll because I think Bam is one of the better pick and roll defenders. This big guy, I think he's going to help Bam off the strength that Bam can now move to the 4. That's what I think is going to help out the most.
So I have a question. If Carter fell to the Heat, would you have taken him over where or no?
I do think that you could use a lead guard, to be honest with you. I do.
Yeah,
But I don't think that you need I think you can get a lead guard in free agency more than you could get a big guy, a young big guy that you can develop. Like this big kid that you got from Indiana, I feel like you could develop him into being something special. I feel like you could do that. Now, Carter, on the other hand, I do think that Carter, and if I'm being honest, I do think that Carter is going to be a special player. And I understand why Sacramento drafted him. They drafted him off the strength that De'Aaron Fox already made it clear that he's not signing an extension. He wants to see what Sacramento's going to do. And if they end up losing him, because he only got 2 more years left on his deal. So if they end up losing him, they have insurance in Carter. That's why that's why Sacramento came off of Davion Mitchell, who I think is going to end up in when he ends up in Toronto. I think he's their league guard of the future. I definitely think that he's
yeah.
running things up there. But with that being said, I think it's less difficult. It would be less difficult for them to develop a big than it would be for Carter. Who, by the way, when I just talked about nepotism, I'm pretty sure you know who's on the Miami Heat
No,
coaching
no, no,
staff.
no. Till I just checked this. He's on the Grizzlies coaching staff now. His father.
Oh, so he just left.
Yeah, he's on the Grizzlies now.
So he literally just left because he was on the coaching staff like a year ago. So I got you.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about my side teams. I don't know, man. Like the Spurs, man. What they did with the eighth pick, man, that was kind of stupid, bro. Like you have Montas right there, bro. Like I don't know why. Like you traded him for seventh graders, bro.
I think they
I
got
don't.
picks, and I understand what they did with that. I don't hate it. I wish I could say I hated it, but I don't hate it. Uh, they got their guy they got their guy in Castle.
Castle.
I think
Yeah.
that Dillingham was their guy, but that's just me.
But chill, like the thing is, like you want to surround Wimby with defense. Like you can't like Castle is like the better defender. Like I would rather have Castle over like Dillingham. But like the thing is, chill. Watch out for Juan Nunez. They
I'll pay
just
attention
drafted
to him.
him. They just drafted him. He's probably gonna start from the G League, but like after like 20, 30 games, bro, they might bring him up, bro. You can see what could happen, bro.
All right, we'll find out.
After one last thing, bro,
Yeah.
my Raptors, they made a terrible pick with Jacoby Walter. I know he fell, but they still got Eve missing, bro. I do not trust Jakob Pertl, bro. That was a terrible pick,
Mm,
bro.
all right.
All
I
right,
know where to
very
find
chill.
you at, my man. Good to talk to you, brother. Yo, mm, it's interesting. This draft is interesting. I told you guys about a guy who I was high on. I'm surprised Isaiah Stevens didn't get drafted. That this whole draft process be bugging me out, man. Because I know I'm older and I know the game has changed. I get that, right? I definitely get that. I 100% understand that the game has changed, but basketball in its essence hasn't changed that much. So because basketball in its essence hasn't changed that much, how is it possible that a primary distributor who, he's small, playing in a league where there are small guards who are thriving, such as Darius Garland, Chris Paul. They're small guards in the league. When you got a guy like Isaiah Stevens who led the Mountain West, I think he led the Mountain West in assists. Led the Mountain West in assists. So the fact that he led the Mountain West in assists, like, how are you passing on him? How? And then on top of that, the guy that I feel like Indiana stole, Enrique Freeman. I don't love him in Indiana because I think they full of wings in Indiana. I would actually love him if he played with the Warriors. I would love him in Miami. I would have loved him in Miami. I would have loved him with the Warriors. I love him in Philly. Those are the teams that I'm thinking about. Those are the teams that I'm thinking about that he would thrive with. I don't love him in Indiana, and I know that Indiana plays fast. They got Obi Toppin, they got Pascal. He's another one of their dirty work guys, though. And not only is he a dirty work guy, he's a bucket getter. I mean, he averaged almost 20 and 10. He averaged 19 and 13. He was the MAC Player of the Year. The MAC Player of the Year. He led the conference in rebounding 4 straight years. I love this kid. And the fact that he slipped way down as far as he did, I think some teams made a mistake on him. I'm not on the fence about that. I'm not thinking maybe. I'm not thinking possibly. I think some teams made a huge mistake with him. A huge mistake with him. So, with that being said, there are some draft picks that I saw that I felt like some teams won. Minnesota, I feel like Minnesota won the draft. I think this kid Shannon was a steal. I think Shannon was a steal. If Shannon doesn't get into that nonsense, if he does not get into that nonsense, he's a top 10 pick, top 15 at worst. Super duper athlete, great finisher, looks like he can defend. Not only can he defend, big guard. I love his upside. And you guys know how I feel about a guy being able to compete. I love that. And this dude will compete. I love that about him. I don't like that about him. I love that about him. So, with that being said, they stole this kid, right? They stole this kid. Minnesota did. And on top of that, you get Dillingham, right? So you get Dillingham, right? In the process of getting Dillingham, who I think is ultimately going to supplant Mike Conley in 2 years, 2 years tops. That's your lead guard of the future. Mike Conley is the guy who, if I need to learn how to be a point guard in the NBA, to be honest with you, I don't know how many guys, to be honest with you, I'd much rather learn from in terms of just being a pro than Mike Conley. I mean, who better to teach me the point guard spot? There aren't many guys that I could look at and go, yo, this dude can teach me the point guard spot. How many guys can teach you the point guard spot better than Mike Conley, especially at his advanced age? I don't know how many guys can do that. I got a super chat from my man Jamal. Jamal says, 2 questions, Chill. If you're the Hawks GM, what are you doing with the team? Still building around Trey and DeJounte, or move on? And second, what the hell my Sixers do this offseason? Okay, so excuse me. Let's start with the Hawks. And okay, we're going into year 7 with Trae Young. Trae Young is still your franchise point guard. So you have Johnson, right? You have Johnson. Now you've added Rishishir. I think you can move off of Clint Capella, and I think you can get younger at the big spot. I think you're going to do that in free agency. This is what I'm thinking about. I'm not saying that this is what they're going to do, but this is what I'm thinking about. I think you can move off of Clint Capella and get younger at the big spot. I do think that. I'm down there. Don't forget, Trae Young actually got hurt this season, and you lost him for a good amount of the season. So he got hurt. I think Jalen Johnson is the future. With Jalen Johnson being the future, you come off of Clint Capella. You already came off of Griffin because you don't know what you're doing with him. Okongwu, we still got to figure out what you're doing with him. You came off of John Collins. I dig that because you were basically you were yanking him in and out, and you didn't know what you were doing with him. So the fact that you got Trey, you got DeJounte, if you can upgrade at the big spot, if you can upgrade at that 5 spot, maybe it's possible that you can make some headway. Because I still think that Trae Young is your franchise player. I still think that. Now, as far as the Sixers, I mean, what are y'all doing this offseason? The offseason, you don't need more players. Okay, Jamal, and I'm about to get animated. What you need is for Joel Embiid to hold up. If Joel Embiid holds up, you know what we have here? We have a guy who can take you to the NBA championship. If Joel Embiid can hold up. I'm not on the fence about that. I'm not thinking possibly. I'm not thinking maybe. If Joel Embiid can hold up, I think he can take you to the NBA championship. The problem is that when he came into the league, he was broken. And he's been broken ever since. What we get tricked with is the fact that he's awesome. And he'll play at that level, but then he'll break down. It's like a car. This Porsche 911 is fantastic, but the engine keeps blowing out. The engine keeps blowing. What am I going to do? If Joel Embiid could stay healthy, he could take you guys to the NBA championship. Here's the difference, and I wonder if you got the stones to do this. You got the stones to move off of Joel Embiid? Because I got him at this level for 2 more years, 3 tops. You got the stones to move off of Joel Embiid? Because I'm out on Philly. That's my question. And build this thing around Maxey. Do you have the stones to move off of Joel Embiid? That's my question. Because if you got the stones to move off of him, now you're serious. But I don't think you are. So it's about that time for me, guys. It was good to see you guys tonight. Absolutely. We got free agency coming up. Not only do we have free agency coming up, we got the Olympics coming up really soon. We got the qualifying. We got the qualifying round. So I'm here. I will be around. You know where to find me at. So I will see you guys soon. Until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. I'll talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light, but take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight. No question about it.